Hello, gremlins. It's gonna be very loud. So it's breezy out and I have my window open and you're gonna hear street sounds like cars and dogs and people, but it's hot in my office and I wanted to cool it off, and it's like a naturally like cooler, breezy day. Oh my gosh, these people are so loud and they're far away. I don't know how they're this loud. But ignoring these sounds, it is the second vlog of Pride, and for this vlog I'm going with like queer horror or like queer strange books. So I actually already have a book done. So I realized this book was due like tomorrow. I borrowed it on Libby and completely forgot about it. So I actually read this morning Eric LaRocca, This Skin Was Once Mine and Other Disturbances. This is the first time I've ever read anything by Eric LaRocca. LaRocca. I think it's LaRocca. And it just so happens that this was one my library had, so I could get it like in the Libby collection. I could get a hold of this one. So I decided to read this one first. It is queer. Not the entire plot of it, because it's short stories, so it's like 4 stories. Not all of them are, but there's like a tone a bit to all of them that feels queer. 3 of them specifically though have kind of like a queer-ish element. So the first one is This Skin Was Once Mine, and in that one we are following a woman who learns that her father has died, and with that she kind of is like looking at times in her life, and she has to go home and she doesn't want to be around her mother because she says her mother hates her and never wants to see her. And what we learn is while she's with someone, I believe she's with a queer artist, and the 2 of them are in some kind of relationship. So there is like a female-female romance in this in some capacity. And again, I can't tell. It starts so oddly that I can't tell if she's with someone and this is like her lover, or if this is just the person she like periodically hooks up with and it's not serious because the other person is like, I can't really stay. I don't want to get too much into this because it's so confounding, but this is where the main title of the book comes from. So that story is pretty long, and she goes back to her family home. There's this mention of snakes, there's this mention of monsters, and then like how you are perceived and how others perceive you, and some strange goings on. That story gets very eerie, and the ending, I was like, okay, this is, oddly enough, the ending felt Twilight Zone-y in like, the story is, I will say, pretty horrific in terms of how young women are treated. I will say, so like there's so many things at the start of this book. There's like a trigger warning page, there's an author's note to like indicate that there might be some concerns for you as a reader. That one was just like creepy, but also the mother is established in a certain way, and then I was like, it's just an odd story, and it is eerie, like it is frightening in some regards, but you also don't know things until our main character does, and so that kind of keeps you on the outside of the story for a bit, because she's like, what are you talking about? My father's not a monster, but her father may be a monster. It's a whole thing. So that was interesting as a start, though the beginning of that story is just very weird and is in like the middle of nowhere about her like having to examine a grocery store or something for her job, and I was like, why is this happening? Then the next one is Seedling, which gets very graphic at the end, but this one also deals with death. So this is, instead of a father dying, a mother dies, and this woman goes to her family home because her father's like, I want you to pay your respects to your mother before they take her body away. But then it turns into this thing about like wounds and like learning about each other and opening yourself up to someone. But the ending is like very gory, but only the very end. Like some of it is creepy, but it's very sci-fi and like openings and stuff like that. But the ending of it is frightening, and you realize you have an unreliable narrator who may have been tweaking things for you, the reader, in how they were understanding what was going on. The next one is All the Parts of You That Won't Easily Burn. That one is creepy. They're all vaguely creepy. So that one is about a man who goes to get a knife for a dinner party, and it's for his husband. So he's like, I've come to get this knife for my husband, but he winds up getting a different knife. And to pay for the knife, you have to be cut and a small piece of glass gets put inside of you. And then the entire plot revolves around like having a piece of glass put in you and like people who do that. And then like an even creepier thing occurs. And I was like, what? And it was just very strange. And I was like, okay. So it was like an interesting, it just was like very odd because we like don't quite understand, like the man is willing to do this and then he becomes fixated. And I was like, okay. And then it just evolves from there as like a fixation. But then we learn about someone else's fixation and I was like, oh my good Lord. So very creepy. The final one, I feel like I could have done without. So that story is called Prickle. And in that one, it's two old men who are friends. They meet. One of the friends, his daughter and her husband want to have him go away, like to another country to live out his days. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. And they're like, okay. And he's like telling this man, he's like, I want you to come with me. I want you to take care of me. I want you to be with me, but not romantically. Even though the other guy's like, I feel like he has a thing for me and I don't like it. So there's this like tone of like, he likes me more than I like him and I really don't want to deal with this. But they have this game called Prickle where they do it's supposed to be small inconveniences to people to bother them. And they've played this game before, and his friend who will be leaving is like, we should play again. And he's like, okay, we'll like play this one time because you're leaving. And like, the things are odd that they do. And like, it's kind of pranking people almost, the first two things. And then the third one is wildly extreme and just was like, what? And I was just like, okay, that's the end of the book. Like this very bizarre extreme thing happens and then the book's over. And I was like, I don't know that I cared for that. I also just like didn't really care about either man. One of them though did have kind of a conscience because he's like, I feel like at some point I should stop this. And I'm like, you should, and you don't. So that was an interesting, I do still want to read Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, but I have not been able to find it to borrow. And I admittedly don't want to get the audiobook because it's a short story collection. I don't want to do that. And I really don't want to buy it because they're so small that I would rather borrow them. And I feel like these don't have rereadability to me because now that I've read this once, I'm done. Like I don't want to revisit any of these. And that does happen to me with some short story collections. Some I'm like, no, I'm good. So it was eerie. I will grant that it was eerie. I actually need it to let me go back. And I will say it's eerie. I'm gonna return this. Oh, technically I need to get a photo of it because I read it. But I just, like, it was fine. I don't know. I wasn't, like, it was creepy, gave me creepy feelings, but like, I don't know. I am still curious about that one because the main story in that one is the one I'm most interested in. But like, this one was fine. And it just, the short story aspect of it felt darker Twilight Zone to me. And that's fine. But also, like, I feel like I've read other things that were in a similar vein. I appreciate that there were queer elements. I do. But I feel like I don't want to judge his writing until I read that one because that's the one I'm the most interested in. But like, this was fine. I suppose it was a good introduction to what, like, how he writes because now I know, because it's a lot of like, I don't know, just like very dense in some parts for me. Not in a, like a bad way. It was just like a lot of text. And then like our main characters don't always know what's going on. So that was good to know for me. And that is the first book of this vlog, which I read before I even got here, but I thought I would fill you in on it since I've never read Eric LaRocca before. And I do still want to read that one, but I don't know if I want to read all of his stuff. I just don't know that because like some people have already talked about his stuff and I'm just kind of like, okay. But that one I am interested in. Also, I'm drinking coffee out of my Tiffany mug because I'm taking this up. Because Tiffany is bisexual in the, I'm gonna say bisexual, in the TV show. So I'm showcasing her for Pride today while wearing my Freddy's Revenge shirt, which I got online somewhere, I don't know. So the next book I actually need to get to is Open Throat because I have the audiobook for that, also from Libby, and I completely forgot that I had it. So Open Throat, it follows a queer mountain lion living under the Hollywood sign, and a few people have read it. It Someone told me it was a queer mountain lion, and I was like, okay, I need to read this. But they only had the audiobook, but it's very short. So my goal is to finish that before the end of the workday today. This is my lunch break. It's like ending. I intentionally carved out time because I read a hunk of this like before work while I had some free time, and then I finished it off during lunch. I feel like I didn't say that, but I wanted to give myself time to talk to you. So yeah, that is that. By end of day, I hope to be able to tell you about Open Throat, also on Libby, but I need to go. So I will talk to you about Open Throat in the next clip. I don't have a solidly built TBR for this, so it's just going to be me reading random things. I know this is a super long opening clip because I already had a book read, but I'm just gonna be bouncing around. Probably a lot of KU stuff that I've saved specifically for like a horror themed week. Krista and I are also listening to an audiobook. I'll fill you in on that later so that I can end this very long clip to open the video, but it's not horror. So I'll be filling you in on it, but also it's going to be a book that we're listening to and maybe won't finish in this, maybe will. We shall see. But I will talk to you later, gremlins, when I have listened to Open Throat / my workday is over. Hello, it is the end of the day and I have finished. Is it gonna bounce? There we go. I finished Open Throat. I truly have no idea how to explain this to you. I don't. Actually, I'm going to return it before I forget. There we go. Return. Someone was waiting, so I wanted to hit the button. So yeah. Oh, and now a dog is barking. So yes, I finished it. It's very short. That's the other reason I can't like quite figure out how to explain it to you, because it's only like a 2-hour audiobook and it's really just like stream of consciousness of this mountain lion cougar. Someone calls it a cougar. Cougars and mountain lions are like the same thing. I believe that's how that was explained to me. But yeah, so it's just like things that are happening to him. And then at one point he has a dream and I was like, this is so interesting. It's just him relating to humans and like trying to understand humans, but also exist and just like try and get by. He's living under the sign and it seems like he's not supposed to be there, because at some point someone says he's famous and so he's just like there and he talks about family, but then a lot of it is just him trying to like be around humans and understand the humans and sometimes help the humans, and it's just so interesting. I don't know, it was really cool. I really enjoyed it, but it's so short, so that's all I can really tell you. It was really interesting. He's a curious creature. And yeah, that was it. I don't even know. I would highly recommend it. It's so short. It's not even a big time commitment. You could be done with the audiobook in like 2 hours. Just 2 hours-ish. Maybe it's a little more than that, but basically 2 hours. Like, that's it. You could probably read it really fast too if you had it physically. They didn't even have a digital copy. You could only read it, like, you could only read via audio. That was the only way that the library system had it in Libby. So yeah, I think though, my next book is going to be, oh, why did I put this down? Oh, a dog is barking. There are a lot of dogs in my neighborhood. I think I'm gonna read this next. So, I'm gonna go. It's a really, really minimal description. So I think I'm going to read this, which is 8 Days of Monstrous Pride by K.L. Hears. I've had this in my Kindle like list or whatever it's called for ages, and the description of the book is just, oh, it's not gonna come up. I have to go to like more details. It's just this. It's very short. Inspired by the meanings behind the colors of the original pride flag, so the like standard, it's actually not standard. I think it has pink. I'll open the table of contents to tell you. Inspired by the meanings behind the colors of the original pride flag, this is a collection of 8 romantic stories that each follow a specific theme: sexuality, life, healing, sunlight, nature, magic, and art. Magic and art is one thing. Serenity and spirit. Each story features a man finding happiness in unexpected and surprising ways. A young man comes out to the desire demon he accidentally summons. A painter finds his muse again when he meets the monster in his art. A bullied medium finds love when he channels a widower's lost husband, and many more. So it doesn't seem very long. It's a short story collection, and it is interesting that it's all men. I did not realize that. Let's see. So the colors for it are hot pink, red, orange, yellow, green, turquoise, indigo, violet. Yes, that is the original one. It has been changed a few times. I only remember there was a difference because I do this challenge, or I have done a challenge where you bound the rainbow, like you do Disney characters or any characters, and you wear an outfit that fits every color, and they used this specific flag 2 years ago. And for some people it was really hard because indigo and violet are very similar, so it was really tricky. But yeah, so there is that. Again, surprised it's all men, but I think I'm gonna read this next just because it's a short story collection, so I should be able to kind of like slowly get through it. And then we'll go from there. I have a ton of stuff on my KU, so I have plenty of options, but I did check and it says I borrowed that like right before Christmas 2 years ago. So I feel like I should read it at this point. So that'll be the next book, but I gotta go because we gotta take the dogs out. I just wanted to fill you in. So yeah, already 2 books down for this. I have no official TBR. I just have things on my Kindle / the iPad I use as a Kindle, and I'm just kind of going through them. So yeah, I will talk to you later, gremlins, when I have some updates on the short story collection. Hello, I'm in a pajama shirt. It is almost 9 o'clock. We're about to listen to an audiobook. So I thought I would fill you in on what the audiobook is about. And also inform you that I finished 8 Days of Monstrous Pride, which was not anything that I thought it was going to be. Please note, in the description of this book, I read you this description. The description of the book at no point mentioned that this was smut. This entire book is just guy meets guy monster that is either a ghost, a plant, general monster, myrrh thing, and they have sex. That's the entire premise of every story in this book, is man meets man monster, they have sex, the end. All of them. All 8 stories. That's the layout. Occasionally, they have sex at the beginning and sex at the end. But it's consistently just dude with dude having sex. And that is not what I signed on for. I was fine with all of them are men. Sure. Fine. Great. I did not realize every single story was just monster smut. All of them. There's nothing scary about them either. It's just monster smut. And that's not what I wanted. So I'm done with it. It's done. I'm not gonna describe individual stories to you because literally I have given you the premise of every single story. Every single one follows the same layout. And like, the author's note was incredibly sweet. Like, oh, this was inspired by this and this. Like, it was such a nice author's note. I'm like, this is just 8 monster smut stories. And you didn't even put monster smut in the description of the book. Because then maybe I would have been like, do I want to read 8 stories about dudes with dudes just having sex? And could we have mixed it up a bit? Could it have been a man and a non-binary person, or a man and
it was a non-binary octopus?
No,
judgy.
They all said him. Everyone's pronouns were he, him.
Joking.
I know, but there was an octopus monster who said top to bottomus, or no, top to puss or bottom to puss. And I was like, I give up. I just kind of like put my head down slowly. But while that was a letdown that I need to return to Kindle Unlimited, I had such high hopes. The description led me astray. I feel like if every story had been like, man finds romance with monster, if that had been in the description, I would have been like, maybe, whatever. But I'll find something else to read at some point. I haven't decided yet what that will be, but Krista and I have been listening to Love at First Set by, it's not gonna focus, I don't think, by Jennifer Dugan. You gonna do it? You gonna focus? It's so bright, it doesn't want to do it. Oh, come on, come on, get it, baby, there we go. It is her adult debut, and it is about Lizzie, who works at a gym. Her best friend got her the job when she moved there. So she works at a gym, but she also just really likes gyms. Like, she wants to own her own gym and run it. She goes to a wedding with her best friend because he's like, it's my sister's wedding and I don't have a date because I broke up with this guy. So they go to the wedding together, and then she basically pep talks a woman in the bathroom into leaving her boyfriend. And it turns out the woman in the bathroom is in fact Cara, her best friend's sister, who is getting married. And she inadvertently hype womaned her out of her relationship. Now, it's not just on her. there were relationship problems prior to all of this, but that's the setup. So we're, I think, 2-ish hours in, maybe 3.
I think that's what you said.
So they're, part of the summary of the book is that Kara winds up around Lizzie after the events of the wedding, and Kara is currently staying with her brother, who is Lizzie's best friend. So they're going to be interacting with each other a lot. So we're really enjoying it so far. The narrator's doing a good job. But it's fun. It's only one perspective. The last book we read from her was in dual perspective, and I feel like Jennifer Dugan in her YA does dual perspective pretty frequently, but this one is only from Lizzie's point of view. We don't know what Kara is thinking. So yeah, that's the non-horror or odd book that we're enjoying. I did tell you that we were listening to a romance. So yeah, that is what we're gonna listen to now. I'm gonna put you back in my office. I'm gonna put the iPad that I was reading on back in the office, and I'm gonna reevaluate what I read next, because I am not doing any more monster smut. I can't do it. I will not survive. So yeah, I'll talk to you later, gremlins. Yeah, that book just real letdown. I just wasn't what I wanted. Wasn't what I was expecting. There were no trigger warnings. There was no page to inform me. That's all it was. So yeah, I feel baffled and betrayed. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go so we can listen to the audiobook Love at First Set, and I will talk to you sometime tomorrow. Hello. It is very noisy. My window is open because it's cool outside, and my fan is on because I am hot. I have presentations for work today, thus the rainbow button up. I am gonna wear this today and then next week, because I only have to wear it for like part of the day, and then I'm changing. It's very like, it's a light top, but I am sweaty because I'm presenting. So yes, but I wanted to check in really fast. So last night, Krista and I both fell asleep while we were listening to the audiobook at completely different times. So we only really listened to like a chapter, if that. Now admittedly, part of that is my fault. So last night I made this like ravioli, and I made like a white wine, Krista called it something, kind of sauce to put on it, because we didn't really, like, you couldn't put tomato sauce on it because it was like a lemon pasta, and I thought that would be weird. So I made that, and then since the wine was open, we each drank wine, and we were already both tired. So we basically like had dinner and then we're really just exhausted. And then the ravioli package was really tiny, so we were both still hungry after. So like we ate this bread pudding thing we had in the fridge as like a dessert, but then Krista was like, I am still hungry, because it really wasn't a lot of food. And for lunch, all we had was a can of chili that we split. Like, we had not really eaten anything all day. So she wound up ordering Indian? I think it's Indian. For delivery, because she had a coupon. So that came, and then she ate some of that, but I had eaten a bunch of these like pop chips while we were watching TV, and I was like, well, I'm not hungry now. So we ordered me food for today. So I have this, like, I do not remember what it is. It's like a tomatoey potato pea thing that came with rice, and then we have naan, and we have samosas, and we have papadum still. Like, Krista ate some of her, because she got chicken tikka masala. She ate some of it, but like, she has plenty left. So I think we're doing that for dinner tonight, like all the leftover stuff that, and admittedly, were purchased so we could eat today, really, for me. And then, but I don't know if we're doing that for lunch or dinner. I really don't know. Probably dinner. Krista has night court tonight, so the schedule is a little goofy. So I don't know. I'm not sure. But the plan is to eat it at some point today. So that's like to fill you in on our very goofy evening. But yeah, we really did not do much. And then we both fell asleep. So we went to bed early. And then, oh my gosh. Okay. So last night was wild. So we went to sleep really early. Like, it was before 10. We both fell asleep. We were asleep for a while. And then so for my fingers, I haven't really been presenting them. Just because if you're here, you should know. But I was in a snowblower accident in February, and I'm at the point in the healing process where at night I'm supposed to wear these silicone sleeves over my fingers just to help like shape the scar tissue correctly. And I was wearing them, but the problem is that my ring finger, I will show you my ring finger. You'll see both of them. It has a nail, and the sleeve really applies a lot of pressure to my nail. And so sometimes it just hurts. Like, it's uncomfortable, it hurts. And so I'll like take it off for a little bit, like go back to sleep, wake up and put it back on. Well, I had woken up at some point and taken it off, and I was like holding it in a death grip in this hand while I was asleep. I woke up and I was putting it back on, and I heard like chewing, licking sounds. And I was like, what is going on? And the dogs are in the bedroom. So I was like, it's one of the dogs. So I was like getting my sleeve on, because it takes me a couple minutes because you have to like pull it a certain way. Got that situated. Then I'm like, stop, like, what are you doing? What are you doing in the dark? And I'm like trying to figure out which dog it is. And Kira is normally the one who's like licking or getting into something at night, but she was completely passed out on the bed. I'm like, okay, so it's Chloe. And I go down to the floor, and Chloe is like pretending she wasn't doing anything. She's just like sitting and like licking her foot. And I'm like, what were you doing? Like, get on the bed, get on the bed, so I can like investigate. So at this point, Krista has woken up because I'm making a lot of noise, and I find Krista's work pants, and one of the pockets is completely soaked through, like licked, chewed apparently, which I couldn't tell in the dark. And I'm like, what did you have in your pocket? Because she'd taken her pants off and put them like on her side of the room, and Chloe had apparently been in her pocket. And I was like, what was in your pocket? What was in your pocket? And she's like, I had 2 cough drops, but everything was fine. There were 2 cough drops that Chloe apparently ate. And that's the sound I heard, was her licking and chewing the cough drops. Like, she pulled them out and was like doing stuff with them. So I was like, well, now I have to look up, like, I have to find the cough drop package. Thankfully it was at home. There were cough drops we had at the house that I had given Krista to take to work. So I like pull out the bag, check. The only thing in it that would be a problem is menthol, but it doesn't, she's a big dog. She only had 2 cough drops, which is not a lot of menthol, and it just gives dogs general stomach upset. There wasn't anything that would make her sick, like rush to the emergency vet sick. So I like looked all that up. Oh, there's a garbage truck outside my house now. So I like made sure she was fine. And then Krista was like, she chewed through my pants. So they're her work pants. So we had to find her other work pants. So like, I'm looking for her work pants, she's looking for her work pants. We did find them, she was fine, but Chloe literally like tore apart the side of these pants trying to eat these cough drops. I was like, oh, for the love of God. But again, Chloe is totally fine. She's okay. She slept through the rest of the night. She was not sick. She is fine. Now if you have a tiny dog, I think it would be a problem if they ate 2 cough drops with menthol. Probably not that bad, but like, she's over 80 pounds. So some things, the only concern would have been if they were sugar-free cough drops, but Krista never buys sugar-free stuff, so that was a benefit. It was regular sugar and not anything terrible. So Chloe was fine. And then, because Krista was like, should we make her throw up? And I was like, well, she licked them. Like, it's just in her system now. And I was like, plus, so if you give Chloe hydrogen peroxide, she throws up for a very long time. And I was like, it's late. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, she doesn't need to throw it up according to the internet. Like, she should be fine. And I was like, plus if we give her the stuff, she's gonna be throwing up for a while, and we won't get any sleep. So she is fine. She's totally fine. Did not need to throw up. She's good. So she's totally okay. But it was just like very like in the middle of the night. So yeah, that was last night. So like, our sleep schedule was very weird because we were sleeping from like 9:30 to 3, around 3. Then we were up. Krista was going through the laundry downstairs because I had just unwashed, so she was folding all the clothes in the dryer. I was digging through her dressers, her closet, to find her other work pants, and then like, we had to get everything put back away and then get situated again and go back to sleep, and it just like, it was just a weird night. So that's a very long update for you while I'm wearing this shirt. I will not be wearing the shirt in later clips because I'm going to change into like a comfy shirt because I won't be on camera anymore for work. So yes. So book. I am going to be reading the following book. This book comes highly recommended by Spooky Little Library, and it's called Gig of the Damned. I'll show you the cover in a sec. Slay the Competition by Freak. Keep your hennies close and your henemies closer. One pageant, one winner, and one queen hellbent on snatching that crown by any means necessary. Gamble Donna Fart is a fishy little drag queen aiming to make a splash in a pool of tenacious, bloodthirsty sharks. Despite that, she's determined to shake up the food chain at the upcoming Tricked and Treated pageant. So when a fierce masked killer starts slaying the competition one by one, it's every hunty for herself. Luck be a lady killer tonight, for there can be only one queen. And that's it. That is the description of the book. And this is the cover. The cover is very fun. So I'll be reading this next, and I'm reading this, 1, because it was recommended highly, and 2, because I need something after that book. that I read that I thought was supposed to be like horror. I did not think it was going to be just what it was. And I'm not going to get into it anymore because I'm just kind of like about it. But I'm very, very excited for this. So there's this one, and then the same author has another book that I'm interested in. Both were on KU, so I have both of them set up for this week. If I like this one, I'll move right on to the next one, just because I think it would be fun. But I gotta go. I just wanted to update you on things, and yeah, I am also drinking out of my Schitt's Creek mug because it's fun and seemed work appropriate. I'm not always on camera, and sometimes when I'm on camera it's for like easy stuff, like it's just a department thing, so it doesn't really matter if I'm wearing like a goofy shirt or drinking out of a goofy coffee mug. But a lot of people are saying me today, so I was like, you need a pseudo professional coffee mug and a pseudo professional shirt. I've had this for a while. I don't wear it very often, but it fit, it was comfy, and it would look nice, I thought. So I gotta go. I will talk to you later, gremlins, possibly about the book. I'm not quite sure, because I don't know when I'm gonna get to read stuff. So yeah, but I will talk to you later. Hello, gremlins. I did not update you at all yesterday, which was not my intention. Krista had work, I was reading, then she got home. We went for a very nice walk. We inadvertently walked all the way to the downtown, which we did not plan to do. And then we watched an entire documentary about Karen Reed on Max. She's being retried. It's like this whole case where like she's charged with a variety of things, but it boils down to she was arrested for possibly hitting her boyfriend with a car in the winter during a blizzard, and he died. But in the original trial, everything is wild. Like you saw court clips, and like she's being retried right now. There's like a year in between cases or trials. So we just watched this one, and then Kristen and I were like, well, what are they doing now? It was very interesting. Really, really interesting. But I am here. It is before work, and I have officially finished Gig of the Damned. This is definitely extreme horror, and I was loving it. It is very gory. The kills are wild. Some involve a sex dungeon. There's a meat slicer. One is like sort of accidentally. I'm not even gonna like get into all of them, but they are violent. And it was just like, what? Oh my gosh. It also, like, there are some twisty bits. It was very, very wild, very fun, a perfect extreme horror book. It is extreme horror. There are trigger warnings listed in the back. There's like an author's note at the beginning that says like, this is extreme horror, maybe check the trigger warnings before you go any further, but you do have to go to the back of the book to read them. I, though, just like, if you like extreme horror, I would recommend this. It was just like unbridled, chaotic slasher chaos, but it was interesting. We get backstory for Antonio / Gambled on a Fart, and how like their life was and how they've come to kind of be where they are, and it just, so many things. I'm using they because I combined, because Gambled on a Fart is she and Antonio is he, and so that's why we're using they, because I combined them. But there's so many, like, the queens are so different. And what's funny is during the book, there's a discussion of how all readers, like in a book, oh gosh, I'm running out of space, but it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure what I'm reading next because I'm almost out of space on this. Yeah, I ran out of space. Hi. Actually, that SD card lasted a lot longer than I thought it was going to, but new SD card. I had one on my desk. So yeah, this was wild. I have another book by Freak on KU. So I have Scissor Sisters, but I actually think I'm going to listen to, I think this is the plan I have made. I'm going to listen to Eat the Ones You Love because I have the audio, and I know, I don't know what day it is, but I know Kayla / Books and Lala's like book, Literally Dead book club is meeting to discuss it sometime this month, and I really want to get to it because it sounds really good. For a brief synopsis, Eat the Ones You Love is a man-eating plant, or people-eating plant, at a flower shop in a mall, and then there's a sapphic romance involved, but the plant may also be in love with one of the women in the romance. So that's what I've got. I literally, just watched a book haul where Kayla was talking about it, and that's like the general synopsis, which is easier to give you than pulling up details. I'll give you a better synopsis when I've actually like gotten into it. I may not update you until I completely finish it, but that's going to be the next one, and then we shall see. I also believe I'm going to the library today. So my library, one, I have to pick up summer reading stuff, though theirs throws me off because I think to make it fair to people, you track your hours of reading instead of the books you read, which throws me off a little because I'm really bad at like counting hours. So with audiobooks it's easier because I can be like, oh, it's this many hours that I listened, but it's harder for me with other books, so I kind of have to be like, oh, I think it took me about this long, because I'm not just like sitting and reading, I'm like reading, doing other stuff, reading. But they're doing this thing I can't really show you, called the Golden Quack Quest. Find a golden duck ticket hidden in the library and win a stuffed duck of your choice. If you find a ticket, simply take it to any staff member to redeem your prize. No library card needed, any age can participate. And then there's like a picture of the duck ticket, which if we find one, I will show you. But yeah, it just sounds cute, and I need to get my stuff because I think the summer reading program started 10 days ago. I'm not even sure. There were 2 dates listed. There was one for kids and one for adults, and I don't know if the adult one was a typo, because it was a completely different date. So I don't know, I'll ask when I get there, like where stuff is, what the dates are. But yes, so I have dressed for library going. I have on this By Pride, I actually tie-dyed this myself because red pants, oh, there's a fuzzy on it. I had a pair of red pants that bled all over this white shirt. So I tie-dyed it a few years ago, like a long time, a few years ago. But it was from a shop called like Dawn We Now Are Gay Apparel, I think was their name. I'm not entirely sure anymore, but it has this little like By Pride flag kind of thing. It's slightly off color now because of the tie-dye, but it's very comfy and I've worn it a lot. I'm also drinking coffee out of my Bob's mug because Bob is a noted bisexual. But yes, that's my update for you. Gig of the Damned was delightful and it was really fun. I'm glad that I read it. So I very much appreciate Spooky Little Library for the recommendation because it was great, and I'm really intrigued by Scissor Sisters. So I will probably read that after Eat the Ones You Love, I think. So I don't have a full plan, but I think that's what I'm gonna do. But I'm gonna go, I have work and I need to get more coffee. So I'm gonna get all of that and then I'll fill you in after I finish Eat the Ones I Love. Might show you the start of it, I don't know. And then if I go to the library today with Krista, then I will bring you so you can see the library and go on the duck hunt with us. So I will talk to you later, gremlins. Hello, this is very quick. I just realized I said the username wrong. It's Spooky Little Book Nerd. I don't know why I kept saying Spooky Little Library. I don't know. I was probably thinking Happy Haun's Library and combine them, but Spooky Little Book Nerd on Instagram and YouTube. But love the recommendation. Just throwing that out there. I also realized I can't do an audiobook today. I have to wait till tomorrow because I have to do a bunch of things for work that involve me listening to stuff. So I can't play an audiobook because I won't be able to hear it. So no audiobook. I may start Scissor Sisters maybe during my lunch break, but yeah, totally forgot. I genuinely forgot, even though I wrote it down twice, 2 different places that I had to think today. I just out of my brain. So I'll have that. But that does mean Friday the 13th, I'll be listening to Eat the Ones You Love. So yes, that was just my quick update. But I'm gonna go. I probably will not talk to you until end of workday / going to the library because that's how my day is going, I think. So yeah, I'll talk to you later, gremlins, when we're possibly headed to the library. Hello, gremlins. You'll get a new angle soon, I promise. Also, there's lots of car noises because my window is open, but it's the end of the workday and I wanted to fill you in on what I wound up reading during lunch. I'm definitely not done with it, but I did start, I had the name of this wrong. So this is Scissor Me Timbers by Freak. And it also has the Bloody AF, Violent AF, Gay AF right up on the front. So I think this is just like, it's such a wild cover. Like so wild. But the setup of this is we're kind of following, and I guess they're actual nuns. So we're at a former monastery that is now a nunnery, or a convent, and these women are living there, and there's a mother superior, but she's very interesting. She previously was the only nun living there while it was a monastery, or actually, is it called a monastery when it's priests? I thought it had a different name. thought monastery was monks. And it doesn't really matter. It did previously only have men living in it. There were only priests living there. And then our Mother Superior, as like Sister Sarah, went to go live there. By her order, she was sent to like help take care of the men, which, and then events occur in the very first chapter. So the men are no longer there. That is all pretty gross, I will say. Not as bad as I was anticipating, but there's some gross stuff. Then we jump forward in time to, we meet a woman who goes on a date and then gets into a car accident. That's important. Then we go to the nunnery. So we're at the nunnery, convent, whatever. And she does wind up there ultimately. But we meet all of these other women. There's someone who has a vow of silence. And there are people who are having like these visions kind of. So we have a Sister Ophelia who's having, she occasionally has some dark visions. But also Mother Superior has some dark visions and has some weird things going on with the statue of the Virgin Mary. And she is also, the Mother Superior, is invested in sort of like flagellate adjacent religion. So there were at certain points orders of people within the Catholic Church who were flagellates, and they would actually hit themselves with it. It's in the Da Vinci Code. If you don't, I feel like that is the most common place people have seen it, where you literally like hit yourself with stuff for penance. I'm saying that in quotes because, but she's kind of involved in that, but hers is much different and actually feels more rope play in honesty. There's even a picture of a nun like in a rope setup that looks like something you would see in like a how to do rope work with your partner kind of stuff. So she like does that, and there's someone who assists her in doing that, but she also is having some strange visions, and yeah. So we're at the halfway point. There has been a lot of sex, so definitely very sexy, very gay. There was the scene at the beginning that was pretty gory, but I will say this one is not as violent as Gig of the Damned so far. I have a sneaking suspicion from the halfway point to the end it's gonna pick up, because I am exactly halfway through and I just have this feeling, because the Mother Superior is kind of losing it a bit and getting very like, I may need to do something. So I feel like that's where this is gonna go. I had a bunch of carbonated water and I was like, I'm going to burp. And I was trying not to do it super loudly. But I am enjoying it. It is a different vibe than the other one. So the other one is very slasher scenes consistently throughout. This feels like a slower build up. Like the beginning, yes, the opening, wild. Then it kind of tapers down a bit into more just like what's happening at this convent / nunnery and like what the nuns are getting up to, especially now that there's someone who isn't currently a nun in their collective. So yes, there's a lot of sex. So yeah, so that's where I'm at so far, but I feel like it's gonna get very, very chaotic once we get farther in. So I am enjoying it so far, just different from Gig of the Damned, which is nice. I like seeing diversity in writing for an author. So curious to see where this goes. I just wanted to fill you in before we head to the library, because I'm hoping to finish this tonight, possibly sometime tomorrow, because I do want to start Eat the Ones You Love, my audiobook, tomorrow at the start of the workday. That's my plan, because I really, really want to listen to it, like, so bad, but I just keep having to put it off because I've either been, like, doing stuff or I've been busy, and, like, an audiobook hasn't been a good plan. So tomorrow, on Friday the 13th, we will audiobook. But I'm gonna go. I have to grab shoes and my stuff to take to the library. So I will see you at the library, gremlins.
Hello, we're at the library. My wife is wearing a very cute pride hat. Look at it, it's cute. Okay, we're at the library. We're gonna go duck hunting. And also I have to drop off a book. And I may have a book in, I'm not sure. So I'll at least be, because Krista is under the weather still. Like legitimately under the weather. She's on different antibiotics. Not contagious at this point because she's been on so many antibiotics. It's just like still clinging. We're gonna head in. We're going to look for the duck tickets. We only need one. I may grab some books. Hopefully they have a pride section. And I think that's it. I think it's the goal. I think it's the plan. All right, we're heading in, gremlins. Krista's getting changed and gonna lay down because she doesn't feel well. But I wanted to show you. I got 2 cute bookmarks at the library. This one has rainbows and this one has peaches. Because peaches.
Do any of them have ducks?
No, no ducks. We didn't find a single duck.
For 40 minutes.
So we didn't find a single duck ticket. And we actually asked a librarian and she was like, oh, I didn't hide them, but there are a lot of them. And I don't know how hard they hid them. And we saw none. Not a one. We checked the entire library. And we're worried they're like in books. And we're like, but you can't like take a book and like shake it around. That's ridiculous. Yeah, so who knows? I mean, maybe they're tucked in between books. I have no idea. But I thought I would show you the books I picked up. So I raided the Pride section. I did leave some books, but I did raid the Pride section. So we have Interesting Facts About Space. What we do in the dark. The 3 Lives of Kate K that I have to read first because I said it's due the soonest. Just As You Are, Count Your Lucky Stars, which I think a lot of these might be on KU, but they had this one and I was like, oh, I'll read this one. Then Even Though We Knew the End, which is super short. All This Could Be Different. I'm going to put that here. And The Verifiers. So those are all the books I picked up. I'm going to get changed and make dinner. But I have lots of books for the rest of this month. So you'll see these in upcoming vlogs. I'll talk to you later, gremlins. Probably tomorrow. Krista's gonna rest. I'm gonna go make ravioli. And I will talk to you later.
Good morning, gremlins. Happy Friday the 13th. We're in the kitchen, mostly because I thought I'd give you a different environment for the video. And I need to make coffee. Hi. Biggs is on the stove, which he knows he's not supposed to do. I'm also wearing an It's Showtime shirt. Hi. From the Beetlejuice musical. Krista got this for me as a surprise while we were there. And in the musical, Beetlejuice is very chaotically bisexual. So I'm wearing this today because Friday the 13th. I do have some Jason shirts. I do have like a handful. I have 2, I think I have 2. Not really a handful, but 2. And I like them. But I'm not like the biggest Jason fan. Krista got them for me on a different Friday the 13th and I've worn them. Like they're comfy. I wear them for like Halloween and stuff. And occasionally I do wear them on, can you get down please? Friday the 13th. So I think I did last year. And last year I watched Freddy vs. Jason, but it wasn't in June. So I wore them because if there are gay characters in any Jason movie, I don't know. There might be some in a Freddy movie. I know there are. And Child's Play, but that's all I've got for you. But I'm not here to debate gay characters in horror films right now. I am here to show you this very cool shirt and to say I finished Scissor Me Timbers yesterday, which I keep forgetting that title. I'm trying to call this Scissor Sisters. I just am. So I did finish it. The gore did pick up a bit at the end, so I was kind of correct, but it doesn't pick up immediately. So this one is more gay AF, I would say, as opposed to violent AF. There is stuff. At the end, it gets a little wild. At a certain point, there's a chainsaw, but it's not as gore heavy as the Gig of the Damned book. So I do think this was a fun time. I did enjoy it. It just was different, which again, I appreciate in a writer. I like seeing them do different things. So this was different. I will say I have noticed Freak's endings are kind of left in these, at least, slightly open-ended-ish. So like we don't, like I won't say in Gig of the Damned exactly what happens, but we're kind of left with a ooh kind of thing. And in this one, we're left with sort of like a, oh, what's happening? Because a character is mentioned. Oh my gosh, there's cat hair all over me from Binks. A character is mentioned at the end and we're not quite sure what happened to them. So I do think that's interesting that there's like teases to like something having gone on with a character who may not be in certain parts of the book. So there was that, but I did enjoy it. I like this one. I will say I probably liked Gig of the Damned more, only because it was a slasher and I really wanted like a slasher horror book. We are moving on to the next book though. So I don't have it down here, but I think this is gonna let me do anything. Hi, hello. There we go. It was misbehaving for a sec. Is it? I can probably get you a plot synopsis from here. I just won't get the book. I just want details of the book. Art. After losing her job and her fiance and moving back from the city to live with her parents, Shell Pine needs some help. And according to the sign in the window, the florist shop in the mall does too. Shell gets the gig and the flowers she works with there are just the thing she needs to cheer her up. Or maybe it's Neve, the beautiful shop manager who's making her days so rosy. But you have to get your hands dirty if you want your garden to grow, and Neve's secrets are as dark and dangerous as they come. In the back room of the flower shop, a young sentient orchid actually runs the show, and he is hungry, and he has a plan for them all. When the choices are to either bury yourself in the warmth of someone else's fertile soil or face the cold and disappointing world outside, which would you choose? And what if putting down roots came at a cost far higher than just your freedom? So that's Eat the Ones You Love. Ta-da! I have the audiobook for this, so that is upstairs. And I'm actually going to start as soon as I get done with coffee making. Oh, I was going to show you actually. So let's go make coffee, actually. Hello. Yes, there's stuff everywhere. Chris is working on some home improvement projects, so we have a bunch of stuff just in the kitchen. We don't have a lot of storage. So this is the cup I'm using. This is not my cup. This is the cup I bought for Krista. So this is a Harley Quinn, the animated series cup. I'm gonna grab coffee. We're gonna do Krispy Kreme donut coffee. This is a cup I got for Krista because this is Bane's cup from Harley Quinn, the animated series. I already kind of said that. But this is gonna be loud. I used to do videos while the show was on, periodically, where I would say that I was Harley and I stole this mug for Ivy from the Legion of Doom. So this was Ivy's mug at home in those scenarios. And because we're reading about a killer plant, I thought I would channel my interpretation and creation of Ivy and Harley and use Krista's cup. I know she won't mind. So yeah, so I'm gonna take this coffee upstairs and then we'll start Eat the Ones You Love.
Macmillan Audio presents Eat the Ones You Love by Sarah Maria Griffin.
Y'all, I have just finished Eat the Ones You Love. I'm about to go to lunch, but I have finished it. I mean, I'm technically at lunch. I just haven't eaten food. Anyway, I cannot even describe that to you at all without spoiling everything. Like, I don't even know how to even go about it. It is not what I expected. Not completely. Okay, so a lot of people thought it would be a lot like Little Shop, where like and there are a couple elements where like plant eats people sort of stuff, which you expect because they say it's like a person eating plant. But also like there is so much more happening in this. So I really enjoyed the audiobook. Though there is an additional character that's not mentioned in the description who plays like a pretty key part. So I will say there's Neve, Shell, and then we're introduced to a number of other characters, but there is a character who's pretty key called Jen who appears, and I will not say how Jen is related to all of this, but there's a character named Jen who appears pretty frequently. Then there's the plant whose name is Baby, according to Neve. And like, I truly cannot tell you like anything without spoiling it. There is a mall. The mall is like a dead mall, but somehow is still kind of up and kicking, though it may be closing. And that's where Baby primarily lives. But Baby, unlike Audrey 2 in Little Shop, is not confined to one location because Baby can be propagated and Audrey 2 could not. Well, depending on the ending. Depending on the Little Shop you've seen, sometimes there are more Audrey 2s, but this is different. I just like, so it's so interesting because there are two narrators. Oh, I did not realize I was gonna cough. Let me see if I can, hold on. Okay, so there are two narrators on the audiobook, which is helpful because a lot of the story is told to us via the point of view of Baby. So Baby is telling us what's happening, and Baby is a guy. So there is a male narrator who's doing all of like Baby's parts for us, and then there's a female narrator who appears when necessary for chapters where it is solely female characters, which sounds confusing, but the female narrator is not in it as much as the male narrator, because he is Baby, and Baby is like our core focus point. I truly do not know how to explain this book to you. Like, I am trying so hard, but anything I say will be a massive spoiler. I'm like very excited for I won't be watching it live or in it, the Literally Dead book discussion, because I just am like, what? What? Like, I can't, so many things are happening, and Baby is like way different than Audrey 2 in behavior. And also the relationship is different than I expected between the two women, but it is still very sapphic. Well, I'm gonna say sapphic in that Shell, I think, is bi or open to relationships with varied partners, because there is a man who shows up that Shell's kind of interested in. It's not really a spoiler, I'm just there's a guy, so I don't want to discount that she is like hanging out with that guy. So there is that, but there's like there's just so much happening, and like it's a very quick story, but there's just like so much happening, and we're not just focusing on this plant. It's also kind of like what happens to towns as like they age, and how they like contend with that, or how businesses deal with where they are shutting down or dealing with like the changes of the of time, because like a lot of people don't go to malls now, so like the mall's existence is in question consistently. So like there's a part of that in the plot throughout, but also like Baby has their own plans, and Baby is making things happen, and I just like was baffled, like in a good way. Like I was so intrigued, because I was like, what is going on? What is happening? What? It is so good. Like I highly recommend the audiobook. I do think the actual physical reading experience would be good too, I do, but the audiobook was fun in that we would shift from like Baby to other people. Oh, there are very loud people outside. So yes, are you just gonna keep yelling? Seriously? So much yelling. My window is open, if you couldn't tell. But I very, very much enjoyed that, and I'm actually glad it wasn't just like a retelling of Little Shop. Like this was completely its own thing. So yes, I just really enjoyed it. I think this is a great way to end this vlog. This is I don't know that I want to say this was my favorite, but it is definitely high up there. I would say for queer female horror, my favorite. Gig of the Damned was just like such a fun slasher book that I want to give it its own like, that was my favorite for like a slasher moment, but this isn't slasher. This is more literary horror. So like they're like two distinct things, but I just really enjoyed this. I would listen to this again. The narration was good, and it's set in Ireland, so the accents were fun. So yeah, highly recommend the audiobook. I've read so many things. I'm not even gonna recap them because it's just a lot of things, but I've had a lot of fun. There was only one letdown in this vlog, and I'm disappointed in the description of that book, because I probably wouldn't have read it if the description had been clear. But I have enjoyed myself. I know I haven't watched a lot of gay things. I did start rewatching Dead End Paranormal Park, which I've watched before. I don't know if I mentioned that already. It's on Netflix. It follows a trans male main character and his best friend, who is like, I'm gonna say she's queer, and has anxiety, so there's a lot of anxiety rep. There's a talking pug named Pugsley. It's just a very fun show. The park itself is like a faux Dollywood, where the woman who runs the park, Pauline, is perhaps the antithesis of Dolly Parton. So yeah, it's a really fun show if you haven't watched it. The rep is great. I highly recommend it for Pride. But just all around, it is a really fun show. So yes, so that's my big recommendation of this video. But I'm gonna go. So if you read any of these books, please let me know what you thought. If you read this one, the Eat the Ones You Love, please tell me what you thought, because I need to know. everyone has it on their TBRs and no one has talked about it yet. So I'm just like, there have been so many book people, and like I love a killer plant situation. So I've been like very, very intrigued because like sapphic romance, killer plants, very poison ivy coated. And I was just like super pumped, but no one has talked about this yet. And I'm shocked because it's a book club book. So a lot of people I think are going to read it, but like, I want to know. I want to know. I want to know what people think, because like, I thought it was wild and I'm having a delightful time having finished it and being like, oh, I would listen to that again. But I'm gonna go. If you have some recs, leave them below. Queer horror recs, please, that are actually queer horror and aren't secretly just smut disguised as queer horror. Such a letdown. Anyway, any recs below would be lovely. I have 8 books from the library I'm going to be reading before the end of the month, so I need to get to those first. So the next few vlogs will be very library book heavy, but yes. Let's see, what am I saying? Oh, please give it a thumbs up if you liked this. If you want to see more of me, please subscribe. There'll be a lot of queer content. There's always a lot of queer content, but like, it's Pride, so we're amping it up. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh, and I'm on Instagram, Clef Go Ever After, same as the channel name. So yeah, I will see you in the next one, gremlins.